You probably have been thinking about your future, a career, college, or technical school. The video you're about to see will focus on a Career Center training program. You'll learn about daily classroom activities, occupational choices, and how you can begin a career. Listen and see what you think.
We're going to spend the next several minutes talking about the Outdoor Power Equipment Program at the Capital Area Career Center. We're going to talk with Don Foster, the instructor in the program, and get his ideas about what that program is all about. Glad you could be with me today, Don.
I'm glad to be with you.
Good. Can you give us a brief description of the Outdoor Power Equipment Program?
The Outdoor Power Equipment Program is an extension of any homeschool small engine classes. We get into more involved details with the drive systems versus just working on only engines, which is what most of them at their local schools do. They just work on the engine. They get a basic idea of how the engine works, the principle, the way it operates, the names of the parts. We carry it a little further. We go into the drive systems, the hydraulic systems, proper service techniques on the engines. We have much more equipment to work on, much more test equipment to use, more sophisticated equipment than most of the high school programs have.
What is some of that power equipment and the kinds of tools that your students would use in the classroom?
Oh, they would use reboring hones, Mercatronic, King, Graham, ignition analyzers, micrometers, dial calipers, measuring devices, internal calipers, various things like that to measure whether an engine is within tolerance.
Sounds like that technician is now the person that we're going to be talking about in the future. The backyard mechanic is kind of phasing out with the advances.
Yes, they're being phased out very quickly because they have to have so many pieces of equipment in order to analyze what's happening anymore.
With all of that equipment and tools that they're able to have here in the classroom, what kind of equipment do you actually work on? What are you repairing?
Well, we have mostly lawnmowers, walk-behind lawnmowers, riding lawnmowers, little bulldozers, generators, chainsaws, occasional snowmobiles, motorcycles. In the industrial, you get, sometimes you get big cement rollers, or not cement rollers, but blacktop rollers, asphalt rollers. You get some power cement trowels.
Any of that kind of recreational or power equipment that clutters up my garage?
Yeah, it could be anything.
Get the car in.
Right.
Okay. When you look at a student coming into your program, if you could tell him or her what they ought to take at their home school as far as classes are concerned, what skills should they bring with them?
The ability to read, to write, hopefully spell, although we do have little dictionaries here that we can give the student to be able to spell. So that isn't so big a problem, but the ability to read, do some math, write, communicate with people.
Okay.
Possibly a little background in technical drawing so they can understand the field fixes. Occasionally there will be a product that's not designed right when it first comes out, and so the factory will send a bunch of directions to change this or that, and they have to be able to see what the drawing is showing them so they can make the changes to the way that it should be.
Okay. Besides being able to read and write and have a good basic communication skills, your students are going to go out not as just a mechanic, but with those skills, what else might they be able to do in the industry?
They may decide they want to be in a little cleaner environment, so they may go into sales or into parts person. A lot of times the mechanic or a person with a mechanical background could go into sales because when the customer says, well, why did my piece of equipment fail me and why won't the new one do it, he can tell them what the difference would be and why it would be better for his particular need.
They have that technical understanding, and therefore they would be believable as a salesperson.
Yes, more so than a salesman that has a good line.
Okay, when you think about a typical day for students here in the Small Engines Outdoor Power Equipment Program, what do your students do on a regular basis?
First thing, they come in and get their safety shoes, safety glasses on, get their toolbox unlocked, get out their mod list for the week that they're going to do. If they've started something the day before, they would just continue where they were, or they would get whatever equipment they need, go to their bench, start doing the mod. If they don't get it done today, they would put everything away and then start over tomorrow until they get it done.
That student who's working on a module or on a piece of equipment is working pretty much independently. Is that also important in the industry?
Yes, it's not so much a team effort in the small engine shop. Everybody gets a piece of equipment, and they have to know how to handle everything on the piece of equipment. They don't normally say, well, this is a transmission, give it to a transmission specialist yet. I see that coming in the future maybe, but right now it's not a reality.
Maybe specialists in the future, but right now they are generalists. They have to work on all of that equipment.
They have to be able to handle most anything that comes along.
Tell me about related training. Let's say I finish your program, I feel I'm pretty well skilled, I get employed, but I want to learn more. How does that happen?
We could take courses at Lansing Community College, Jackson Community College, Ferris State. Some of the, if you're working for a dealership, he may send you to the factory school, either on the lawnmower, the riding mower, or the engine itself. Whatever you're having trouble with, he may send you to that particular manufacturer and go through their factory school.
So your manufacturers like Honda or Briggs & Stratton or Case or Tecumseh all have special schools for their equipment?
They have in-the-field schools, and they have schools at the factory itself.
I understand you've actually sponsored a couple of those schools here at the Career Center.
Yes, we've had the Case Ingersoll Factory School, we've had the BCS Tiller School, and the Sachs Dolmar Chainsaw School.
Great, so your student mechanics have had a chance to work right along with those mechanics from out there in the industry.
Yes. It shows them that the mechanic, just because he's out of a formal school, he still has to go to school and keep updated on everything.
It's a constantly changing field.
Every year.
Okay, as far as the future is concerned, how do you see the future for a small engine or outdoor power equipment mechanic?
Only expanding.
Okay.
Because there are so many small engine equipment manufacturers and lines, they want to sell it. They are constantly developing a need for more of these engines. And just as an example, Briggs & Stratton manufactures 44,000 engines per day. Per day. And they are sold before they're ever built.
Okay.
And they are working 5 and 6 days a week. So.
And as far as you're concerned, you hope some of those break down so your
all of them
mechanics have jobs.
All of them, yes.
Okay. Thanks very much for sharing the time with us. This has been really interesting.
Thank you. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Good. Joining us is Keith Litchfield from Litchfield Power Equipment in Williamston. Glad you could be with us today, Keith.
Well, thank you, John.
What I'd like you to do is to give our students who are looking at this videotape a perspective from the owner's standpoint, what you hope to get out of a training program like we have here at the Career Center.
Okay, John, and we're looking for technicians that can come in and be able to, in our dealership, look at specific areas. It varies in different dealerships, but our dealership is at the size where we need technicians that can basically work on engines, transmission, electrical components, nylon trimmers, etc. We have come to the phase with the multitude of product that is out there for the consumer today. There's no way that one technician can zero in and be an excellent technician on each one of these products. So at our store, we've taken the approach where we are having a specific person for engines, for transmissions, for hand mowers, nylon trimmers, chainsaws, etc. And we are finding that this is the avenue that we are taking. This is not true in all cases because some dealerships, their size, the type of business that they're doing might vary. But looking down the road, this decade and the next decade, even if you're going to get involved in being a service technician for power equipment, as this field is progressively growing and high technology is becoming involved, a person can no longer service his own hand mower anymore. Right. And things are becoming very sophisticated. So the demand for service technicians is so overwhelming that it's unreal. Right now, we are looking for 2 people, and we just cannot find them.
You want that master level technician, I think you had mentioned
That is
before.
correct. Okay. That is correct.
So the field is expanding. It's wide open as far as young people coming out of training programs, but they need to come out with some very specific skills.
Yes, yes, we need the Career Center, universities and so forth and things like this to introduce the students to different areas. They need to be able to learn how to write job orders, to write proper definitions. They need how to follow directions. Punctuality is important. These type of things, if they can start learning the basics, and then they're going to have to zero in on what they really want to learn and what they want to work on. If they want to be involved in engines, or if they want to be involved in transmissions, scope in on that and see if they can specialize in that. Then I think they can take it from there and run with it.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking your time to share this thought with us, because it's very important for us to communicate what it is an employer wants from our graduates, and I think you've done that very well.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So what do you think? You've learned a lot about a Career Center training program. See your counselor today for more information. We hope to see you soon.